We'll check the answers, then we'll go back and add them up. Number 1, 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 3. 2 is 7 plus or minus square root of 37 over 14. Small problem to fix here. This should be, for the A, this is supposed to be a 7, so that does make a difference. If we did this, it would be a 12 times 7, yeah, it's minus 84. So 49 minus 84 would come out to be what? Negative 35. Okay, so down here you should have a 35 and then an I in front of it. So that would leave us with just this. Did you have 7 plus or minus I square root of 35 over 14? Yep, so this is the right answer here.
I didn't know we couldn't.
3 is 3 plus or minus square root of 3. 4 is 5 plus or minus I square root of 55 over 10. You cannot reduce this. I know there's a 5 and a 10 there, but this spot matters as well, and there's no number there divisible by 5 or 10. Number 5, negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 37 over 2. Six is negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 89 over 16. 7 is negative 1 plus or minus I square root of 7 over 2. 8 is negative 3 plus or minus I square root of 31 over 4. 9 is 1 plus or minus I square root of 15 over 2. And 10 is negative 4 plus or minus square root of 17. The high score was Applegate B with 1,000. And for the first problem, I didn't go through and just put answers as 1, 2, 3, and 4 for this. We can just go through it one problem at a time. For the first problem, you had to find the A, B, and C. Now, if you don't find the A, B, and C, then you're in bad shape right off the start there. It should have been negative 2, 4, and then negative 6. The discriminant is negative 32 from B squared minus 4AC. So dump it in here. Naturally, you take out an I, but the square root of 32 can reduce or simplify to square root of 16 square root of 2. So that's 4 square root of 2. That's why we have this 4i there. And notice in this case that we have a negative 4, a 4, and a negative 4. They're all three reducible. There's a common number that goes into all of them, and it's going to be negative 4. So when you take out a negative 4 here, it's just 1. That's why there's no more denominator. If I divide by negative 4 there, that's a 1. Dividing by negative 4 here in this spot, remember the rule, it doesn't change the sign at all. It doesn't matter. So it's still, but it does get rid of the 4. So it's I square root of 2. 1 plus or minus I square root of 2. On the second one, you had to put it in the right form. So when you do that, you should have had negative 3x squared minus 9x plus 4. And naturally, this is going to be your A, this is your B, and this is your C. You should come up with a discriminant of 129, which means it's going to be real. And there's not much work to do after that. When you put in the B, note that the B is a negative 9, so you get a double negative here. Here's the discriminant under the square root sign. And on the bottom, 2 times A is 2 times negative 3. So it comes out to 9 plus or minus the square root of 129 over a negative 6, which I haven't finished it on this part yet, but it comes out to be a negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 129 over 6. A lot of you on this one reduced 9 and negative 6. There's nothing here in this spot to reduce. You have to put it in the right form, so it's negative 5x squared plus 6x plus 11 equals 0. Notice that you had to bring that and that over to the left. The discriminant, conveniently, is 256. That is a perfect square of 16. So if you do negative 6 plus 16 over negative 10 and negative 6 minus 16 over negative 10, you should get 10 over negative 10, which is negative 1, and negative 22 over negative 10, which is 11 over 5. When you put it in the right form, in the right order, you should come up with negative 8x squared minus 9x minus 1 equals 0. The discriminant is 49. That is really convenient because it's a perfect square. If you add 7, you get a negative 1 from the division. If you subtract 7, you get a negative 1/8. This one in the right form is 2x squared minus 3x minus 12. Now if you don't get it from here to here, then you're pretty much doomed once you go down below that. But the discriminant comes out to be 105. So when you plug in the formula, this is a negative 3, so it's a double negative. That's why it becomes positive here. 3 plus or minus the square root of 105 over 4, that comes from 2 times 2, 2a. And that's it. It doesn't go any further than that. For the pretest, we're going to use the rest of today, tomorrow, and maybe Friday if necessary. Do your best on this pretest. The top 10 scores will receive 2 homework passes that they can use at any time between now and the end of the first 9 weeks. Also, the top 3 scores, in addition to 2 homework passes, get a free test. If you're in the top 3 scores on this multiple choice test, then you get 1 free test to use between now and the end of the first 9 weeks.